So you want to be a VTuber? That's awesome! In this video, I'll show you how to start from scratch and go from concept to your debut. Before we begin, let's go over some vocabulary. VTuber stands for Virtual YouTuber, an online personality that uses a cartoon or anime-style virtual avatar. A model is the avatar a VTuber uses to create content. Rigging means preparing an avatar to be used for facial and/or body tracking. And a debut is a VTuber's first official stream or appearance with their avatar. It's a big, exciting party for the VTuber. Now let's begin. Phase 1. Forethought. Before you get into the fun stuff like designing your character, you need to think about what kind of content you're going to make. Will you stream? Make videos? Do you have any special talents like music or art? How could you make content out of those? Think about what kind of content you enjoy watching. What do you enjoy about it and why? How can you incorporate that into your own stuff? What don't you like? These are all good questions to ask yourself. They'll help inform your decisions down the line. Phase 2. Personality. First and foremost, think about your character's personality. Lots of VTubers are based on anime tropes. I suggest browsing sites like Stereotypes Wiki and TV Tropes for clear-cut breakdowns of these stereotypes. While you shouldn't cut and paste your character's personality from a trope, that would be super boring and predictable, these sites can give you a lot of inspiration. Another thing, your character shouldn't be too difficult for you to play. It doesn't have to be exactly like you, but you shouldn't have to struggle to do their voice or act like them. But don't be worried if it doesn't come naturally the first time. It's a muscle, and you'll understand how to become your character better the more you play them. Phase 3. Design. First, let's talk about motifs. Motifs are like themes that run through the character's design, personality, story, and overall aesthetic. Lots of VTubers' designs are based on one or two different motifs. Take a look at Juniper Jam. Her design is very obviously based around two motifs, cows and mint chocolate chip. Every single detail of her design reflects the theme, creating a very cohesive whole. The colors are evenly distributed throughout the character, and there isn't too much detail concentrated in one part of the body. Overall, it's a very appealing design. Let's also take a look at Hinaguchi Sorako. She's a dragon girl that's also a sukeban, which, if you don't know, is a rebellious Japanese schoolgirl. There's a lot of little details to this design, but it never feels crowded or busy because the whole is balanced. The number of colors is limited, and each article of clothing tells us something about her personality. Also, don't forget to consider your character's personality. You may already have some lore or story ideas for them in your head. Think about what makes sense for the character logically. Are they sporty? Try giving them a sweatband. Studious? A watch or glasses work great. Make a list of things that make sense for your character to have and try mixing and matching them. If you're still stuck, here are some random motifs to get your mind rolling. Intermission. Before going on to the next step, I recommend trying out streaming with a 2D PNG avatar. It can just be a little sketch you drew up of your character. As long as you own the rights to the image, you can use it. Why do this? Well, streaming is a commitment, and it can be discouraging to be working so hard for so long leading up to your debut and not have much of a turnout in terms of numbers. This will help make sure you're up to streaming, even if your chat isn't constantly buzzing. Also, pre-debut streaming can give you low-stakes practice solidifying your character, so you're not making last-minute changes or breaking character during your debut stream. VTubers often use reactive PNGs for collaborations. They're super easy to make online, and you can find a lot of these collaborations to join in Discord servers. I'll link a tutorial for reactive PNGs and some Discord servers down below. By the way, now is a great time to get active on social media. Join Discord servers, start tweeting, whatever. This way, by the time you're ready to debut, you'll have people excited to cheer you on. Phase 4. Art. You basically have two options when it comes to VTubing, 2D and 3D. Let's start with 3D. 3D is a common choice in the international VTuber sphere, aka outside Japan. It's expressive, with gesture tracking and unlimited face animations for emotion. Plus, it's much more accessible. Anyone can download the free software VRoid Studio and create their own model. But don't disregard 2D just yet. In my opinion, 2D is much more artistic looking and has more opportunities for art style differences. Anyone proficient in Photoshop can make a 2D model ready for rigging, and Live 2D, a rigging software, has a competent free 40-day trial which you definitely should not just use over and over. Don't do that. I would never encourage that, ever. There's plenty of amazing tutorials out there by people much more skilled than me, and I'll leave them in the description, but if you don't want to learn how to make a 2D or 3D model, then you're going to need to commission one. The low end of the 3D spectrum sits at around $100, and for 2D I'd say it's around $150 since you're paying for 2 separate services often done by 2 different people, the artist and the rigger. If you're really on a budget, then I recommend looking for someone who's practicing or trying to beef up their portfolio. Just, please pay them well. We all gotta eat, even the poor soul who's gotta draw your OC. To find artists, I recommend Fiverr, Twitter, or just generally asking around. If you've been active on Twitter like I told you to be in the intermission, you've probably met a couple artists by now. Phase 5, life. So you've got your model, whether it's 2D or 3D. Now you're going to need to bring it to life. You can use your webcam, VR device, phone camera, a live studio if you're that bougie somehow, or even just input from your keyboard, a game controller, or a MIDI pad. Again, there are already lots of tutorials on this process and I'm not the most knowledgeable. Some links in the description, or you can learn how to use Google, you lazy bum. By the way, if you use a Mac and you're feeling stuck seeing all the Windows-only software, you are not alone. I use a Mac as well, and it's definitely possible. I'll make a video about it on YouTube eventually, but for now, just leave a comment. Phase 6, setup. Now that you've brought your avatar to life, it's time to make sure you can actually get on air. If you're a streamer, that means making sure you can stream. Again, I am not the most knowledgeable on this subject, but there are tons of tutorials out there for OBS, Streamlabs, and I assume there are other ones? If you create pre-recorded video content, like the YouTube video you're watching right now, you need to possess some sort of video editing capabilities. I'm most familiar with Adobe Premiere, but you don't really need anything fancy. I recommend the free software OpenShot, but I don't know too much about it. I've also heard good things about Adobe Rush, which is free and available on your phone. I strongly recommend investing in a dedicated vocal mic, aside from your computer's built-in one. Again, doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can even go in Audacity and compare your phone's mic to your computer's and see if you can use that. Intermission. Your social media is looking awfully bare. Sure, you've been tweeting, but you look like this. Now is the time to step up your game. Avatars, banners, bios, about sections, overlays, away screens, background music. Now is the time to go all out. Tie everything together with your character's motifs like a big old bow. No Photoshop, GIMP, Paint.net, and Krita are all free alternatives. If you don't feel like learning an image editing software, again, you can commission. You can commission me. My commissions are open. You could commission me, if you wanted to. You could do it. Please commission me. Phase 7, preparation. I know you're excited, but there's still a couple things you need to do before the big day. First, double check your setup, test your stream, test it again. Get your friends to check it on their computers. You can't be too safe. Then think about what you're gonna do. You can make a series of slides about your lore, talents, or goals. You can set up a Curious Cat where people can ask you questions. You should also go find people willing to moderate your chat while you're busy being your beautiful self. And you should definitely be prepared to put up your credits for your artist, rigger, background musician, anyone who helped you along the way. I recommend everyone write down a few things to talk about in the case of dead air. Funny stories, a few jokes, questions for the audience, or even having a song prepared can go a long way. Your notes don't need to be fancy, just a couple words are enough to remind you what you were going to say. Now that you're ready, set a date, set a time, and wait. Oh yeah, and promote yourself everywhere you can. Phase 8, debut. Alright, it's the big day. Be on time, have water in your notes, make sure your mods are ready to go. Now do your thing. This is where this series ends, but if you have any more questions at all for me, you can leave them below. I wish you all luck on your VTuber journey.